So I called the Addison Public Library regular board meeting to order Tuesday, October 2020 at 6:31 p.m. Let's stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and
and
to
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and justice for all.
Is there a delay? I think it's a delay.
Okay.
Thank you. Donna, roll call. Chris? Sorry, Donna's taking roll call.
Okay.
Chris, can you hear us? I think he's frozen.
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Now we can. We're taking roll. Chris? Mary?
Yes.
Present. Present.
Maria? Yes, present. Linda?
Yes.
Robert?
Yes, present.
Judith? Sorry, Judith, you're going to have to unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, here.
Thank you. I apologize. So next, I make a motion to approve the meeting agenda.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Linda, moved by Mary Ann, second by Linda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion passes. Next, we're going to move on to comments from the public. So currently, we do not have anyone in the public, so we're going to move on to our presentation, which is the community survey. We have Mindy, who's here to present from Northern Illinois University Center for Governmental Studies. She will present the final report of the community survey completed for the library. So Mindy?
Hi, thank you for having me tonight. I'm here to tell you about your survey results and hopefully you will have some questions about what we found, and we can have a little discussion afterwards. So I'm going to share my screen so you can see the presentation. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All righty. Let's get to the first slide. I'm going to give you some background information first, talk a little bit about the methodology that we use for the survey, and then we'll get into the findings. So it was a multi-mode survey. It was conducted via the internet and by mail. And we did telephone calls to non-responding households, so households that did not respond to either the internet version of the survey or the mail survey got telephone calls to remind them to complete the survey. The purpose of the survey was to gather residents' opinions about community needs, the Addison Public Library's importance to the community, their satisfaction with the library's services and programs, and potential strategic priorities and objectives. The results will be used by the library to assist with planning. The Center for Governmental Studies worked closely with the Addison Public Library staff throughout the project. Okay, the methodology. The questionnaire that we used was designed with input from the Addison Public Library staff. We had a meeting, initial meeting, where we discussed what the staff hoped to find, what they wanted to find out about from the survey. And then we went back and forth until we had a questionnaire that everybody was happy with, the staff were happy with, and I, as the researcher, felt was unbiased and non-leading. The questionnaire had a number of different topics that were covered. The first topic was the household leisure activities, to find out what individuals in the household did in their free time, the importance of the Addison Public Library, both to the community as well as to the individual household. The Addison Public Library use, so, did they visit the library? Did they use the website? What purposes do they use the library for? How frequently they use the library? Those types of questions. Then there was a set of questions on library customer service and how satisfied they were with the service they received from the staff. Attitudes towards the Addison Public Library. Are they comfortable using the library? Do they feel welcome? Do they feel like they're treated fairly by the staff? Those types of questions. And then there was a set of questions on future focus and priorities of the library. And finally, a question on access to high-speed internet in their household. The questionnaire was translated into Spanish and was sent to a random sample of 1,900 households within the village of Addison. Additionally, there was a random sample selected of 400 Latino residents to make sure that we got enough Latino respondents. Usually in surveys, minorities respond at a very low rate, so we pull additional sample to make sure that we get enough for analysis purposes. The sample was purchased from the Marketing Systems Group, a survey sampling firm, and the Marketing Systems Group provided names, mailing addresses, email addresses, and telephone numbers for the households. An email was also sent by the school district to parents and guardians with a link to the survey to help us further reach the Latino residents. Okay, data collection. The survey started on April 15th. Initial email invitation was sent to all the sampled households saying, we're conducting the survey, the purpose of the survey, how long the survey takes, etc. So the email was sent out on April 15th, the initial email, and then up to 6 reminder emails were sent to non-respondents. That helps us get a representative group of respondents and also helps to increase our response rate. Some people say 6 reminder emails, that seems like a lot. We need that in order to get enough respondents. So after the emails were sent and we got approximately, I would say about 60%, no, probably 55 to 60% of the respondents via the online survey, the emails. We then mailed questionnaires to those households that didn't complete the survey online. And then after that, we did telephone reminder calls to non-respondents, meaning households that didn't complete either the online or mail survey. Took 4 months to collect 489 surveys. This is a little bit longer. I shouldn't say a little, it's about a month longer than it usually takes us to collect that amount of surveys, possibly because of COVID. We were right in the midst of the beginning of COVID, and people were just trying to get acclimated, and I'm sure that at that point they just didn't want to they didn't want to do a survey. But once people got used to the whole environment, I think people, things settled down and they said, okay, time to do the survey. So we did get close to the amount of surveys that we expected. Okay, just real quick, the data analysis. The data was weighted by age, gender, race, ethnicity, educational attainment, and annual household income. That's just so that we use the 5-year estimates from the 2014-2018 American Community Survey. And the purpose of the weighting is to ensure that the respondents to the survey are representative of the population of all adults in the community in Addison, in this case, and that the findings can be generalized to the total population. So the respondents were a little bit older, more female, you know, more whites, etc. So we adjust the respondents so that they represent the entire population and look like the population on all the demographics. Chi-square tests were used to test significance between demographic groups. And we'll talk a little bit about more about that in a minute. I'm gonna close this up. Okay. Okay, so now we get to the survey findings, the interesting part. The first set of questions had to do with the leisure activities of the household, like I said before. So we asked them a series of questions to find out which leisure activities they or someone in their household has done in the last 12 months. And you'll see the highest percentage is 76.2%, and that's for stream TV shows, movies at home through a service. Next is 66.7%, and that's read a book, ebook, or listen to an e-audio book. Goes down from there, but played video games, computer games, 57.4, played board games, card games, tabletop games, 55.3, et cetera, et cetera. Spent time doing crafts and hobbies was one that came up fairly high as well. So those are the activities, and that can help the library decide what services they can provide, what programs, you know, what are people doing in their free time, and what can they do basically at the library. You know, things that came up were more classes on crafts and hobbies later on and things like that, because more than half the individuals are doing crafts and hobbies. We did ask some follow-up questions. So in the report, you'll see that the top crafts and hobbies that people do, you have all that information, the number of books they read in a month, whether they prefer classes in person, or the classes they've taken, have they been in person or online? So you have a lot of additional information as well. Okay. The next set of questions was on the importance of the Addison Public Library. And you can see that a high percentage believe the Addison Public Library is important to the community, 94.4% when you combine the somewhat and very important. And importance to their household was 87.2%, still also very high. What's interesting is, and not unusual, is that the non-users say that the importance to their household of the library, only 59% say it's important. And their library non-users, those are individuals, those are households that have not visited the library in the last 12 months or have not visited the library's website in the last 12 months. 59.0. What's on it? 59.0 compared to user households that say the 93.1% of user households say the library is important. What's unusual is the community numbers. So importance to the community. Users say 97.3% say the library is important to the community, but non-users say only 72.7% say that the library is important to the community. We usually get a slightly higher number for non-users in the 80s, mid 80s usually is what we find there. So this is a little bit lower. Non-users are saying it's not, the library is not important. A larger percentage are saying it's not important to the community, which is a little unusual. Oh, let's go back for a minute. Oops, sorry. Now I paged up. Sorry, I lost my place here.
Okay.
It's okay.
Okay, well now, okay, going back to this slide, we asked those those individuals that said the library is not important or not very important to their household or the community, why they said that. And the main reason was there's no need for the library because they get all their information from the internet, or they purchase books, so they don't need the library. Okay, so library use. Next slide shows a high percentage of households say that they have a Addison Public Library card, 85.9%. High percentage, 81.4%, also say that they visited the Addison Public Library in the past year. Much lower percentage say they visited the Addison's Public Library's website in the past year. And we find this in most surveys that we do for libraries, is the percentage of website usage is much lower. Okay, the slide's not changing. Okay. It's a little slow. We're getting a delay here.
There we go.
Okay, so those individuals that said that they hadn't visited the Addison Public Library in the last 12 months were asked why not. And the largest percentage, 54.2%, say they're not aware of what services the library offers. Lower percentages say that their household only uses ebooks and other online library content, so they have no need to actually physically visit the library. 13.6% say the library does not have materials or programs they're interested in, and it goes down from there. Okay. This next set of questions was only asked of library user households. So households where someone in the household has visited the library or has used the website in the past 12 months, because only they can say how satisfied they are with the library and talk about what they use in the library and, you know, how satisfied they are with the staff, etc. So these are library user households only. And the percentage that are satisfied with the library is very high, 96.4% when you combine the variance and satisfied categories, and 67.2%, so more than 2/3 are very satisfied with the library. Those that said they were dissatisfied or very dissatisfied, which is only a small percentage, it's 2.5%, were asked, why are you dissatisfied? And the two main reasons that they gave were the limited selection of books and the children being too loud. The children being too loud comes up throughout the survey in different points, and we'll discuss it later on. Okay. Next set of questions had to do with the familiarity with the special collections, the services and programs offered by the library. And this is this graph shows those that are where 1/2 or more are familiar. So the blue and red bars combined, the very familiar and somewhat familiar bars, add up to more than 50%. So library user households know about the borrowing, movies, the video games, the music. They know about the public use computers and the laptops, the meeting and study rooms, the printer scanners and copy machines, etc., etc. The programs for adults, programs for children, these things they're familiar with, but less than 50% are familiar with these collections, special collections, services, and programs. And the top two are the most interesting to me, is that they're not familiar with the downloading of ebooks and audiobooks and the streaming of the music, movies, and TV shows. The others, I can see them not being familiar with. If they don't have a teen in their household, they're not going to know about the programs for teens, voter registration, you know, notary services, a library of things collection, employment resources, those types of things. I can see. But the downloading of the ebooks and audiobooks and the streaming of the music, movies, and TV shows is a little surprising to me. The next question was asked, how does their household use the library? And the more than 3/4 say that they check out materials, 78.8%. Next highest is a place to study or work by themselves, 58%, and a place to read, 50.5. Then use the computers, printers, or copyists, 49.8, and it goes down from there. In the report, you'll see, I should mention that there are demographic differences for most of these questions. There's one that's interesting. One demographic difference that I found interesting is individuals that are younger adults seem to use the library more as a place to meet up with people than older adults. And I think it's the breakout, it's 29 or younger, I think is the point where they indicate that they use it as a place to meet up with people. So that's interesting. Customer service. We asked a series of questions about what the library user households opinions of the staff. We asked, do they think the staff are knowledgeable? And 78.9% strongly agree with the statement that the staff are knowledgeable. 78% strongly agreed that the staff respond in a timely manner. The staff are friendly, 74.1. They're professional in their dealings with them, 73.2. They provide quality service, 73.1. They're approachable, 67.8. And the staff are interested in them and their needs, 66.1. These are strongly agree on a 4-point scale, so it's strongly agree, somewhat agree, somewhat disagree, strongly disagree. So these numbers are really good to get such high percentages of strongly agree. Next set of questions was asked of all the respondents. So we're going back now to all the respondents rather than just the library user households. And we asked a series of questions to find out attitudes towards the Addison Public Library. More than 8 out of 10 respondents agree that they feel welcome at the library, 95.4%. They feel comfortable sharing information like their name or address with the library and want to get a library card. They feel safe at the library. They feel comfortable at the library. They're able to communicate with library staff in a language that they're comfortable using. The staff treat them fairly and equally. They know how to find books and other materials, and they know how to use the services at the library. Very high percentages. Again, the interesting result here is that those that did not agree with this statement, so they didn't feel welcomed or they didn't feel comfortable or safe, were asked why not. And consistently, not feel welcome, don't feel comfortable, and don't feel safe. The most frequent responses or most frequent response was that there's too many children after school at the library and it's too noisy. So it's a small percentage, but that's the main reason they give for not feeling comfortable, welcome, or safe. Okay. Let's see. The next questions had to do with the roles and functions the library should serve or provide. And the top 5 functions are really the traditional functions that public libraries provide. So it's offer books, periodicals, and other materials for the community to use, encourage school-age children to read, learn, and create, encourage preschool children to play, read, and learn, provide access to technology such as computers, Wi-Fi, and devices, and provide lifelong learning opportunities. The next set of questions had to do with possible offerings, programs and services that the Addison Public Library could provide in the future. And they were asked how important would, if, would these services or programs be to them. And the one that came up the highest is more programs to teach adults and children to use digital tools. That was followed by more spaces for reading or studying. So those were the top two, but people are interested in all of them pretty much. The numbers are pretty high. I try to look at the red bars, which are the very important bars, because of course everybody wants the library to provide everything. So I really look at the very important and kind of use those. And that's why I'm talking about those top two. The more programs to teach adults and children to use digital tools, and the more spaces for reading and studying. Interesting. No, it's not this slide. Okay, wait, it's the next slide, I think. Nope. Okay. Hang on. I think it was another question. Okay, I'll mention that in a minute. Okay, assistance with educational goals. We asked what types of assistance they need, individuals in the household need with educational goals, and we asked a series of questions on this, and the results are pretty low, like it's 25% said that they want, help with improving their English language skills. 25% want, help with applying to college, etc. They were really low, but when you look at the demographics on these, it starts to make sense. So if you look at the results overall, it's kind of wiping out the results. So I'm presenting here the results by the demographics. So individuals, respondents that said they're 50 years of age or less, or more likely, of course, to have school-age children. And so when you look at their results, they report they need help improving a child's grades in school. That's 41.3%. So it's much higher than I think it was 24 or 25% that's in the report. Respondents who indicate the primary language spoken in their household is a language other than English. When you look at their result, they indicate 53.7% indicate they need help improving English language skills. Respondents with lower household incomes state they need help learning a technical skill or getting a technical certificate. 42.6%. Latino respondents indicate they need help getting a high school diploma or GED, 49.1%. So those are fairly high percentages, like close to 1/2, about more than 2/5, or close to 1/2 are saying they need assistance with educational goals. Oops. Okay. There also was a question about what kind of goals they have in their personal life. Again, educational goals came up high, learning a language came up high, help with educating children came up high, and as well. So those are the results. I have some what we call research-based conclusions. I don't, I'm the research expert. You're the library experts. So I try to stay really close to the survey results and not make conclusions or recommendations that are too beyond the results. You need to take these results and use them the way you see fit. But Overall, I believe the respondents perceive the Addison Public Library to be important to their community and household. It's especially important that the library offers books, periodicals, and other materials to use, encourages school-age children to read and learn and create, encourages preschool children to play, read, and learn, provides access to technology such as computers, Wi-Fi, and devices, and provides lifelong learning opportunities. Respondents also see a role for the library in assisting with educational goals and providing programs to teach digital tools, providing programs to teach digital tools. The survey respondents are satisfied with the library. In the open-ended responses, they talk about how they like the books and materials. Of course, they want more books and materials, but they like what you have. They like the programs and events that you provide. We've discussed the customer service results, that they think the staff are doing a great job in the way of customer service. They also really like the facility and building. They talk about how nice the building is, and how it's comfortable and easy to use. However, they do see room for improvement. Like I mentioned, the noise level and the number of children in the library after school. I think the two go hand in hand. I think they're talking about that the children make too much noise when they talk about the noise level in the library. Interesting, one result that I didn't present, I thought I've had it in here. I was looking for it, but I couldn't find it. But when we asked them, should the library, it was under roles and responsibility, roles and functions of the library. And one of the ones we asked was provide a safe space after school for students. And the percentage that strongly agreed was 71.4%. So they want you to provide a space for children after school. They just want the noise level and to be lower, and the children, the numbers to be lower if possible, and not congregating, outside the library, inside the library. So they provide some suggestions also. One of the suggestions they provide is to enclose the teen area. That came up quite a bit in the open-ended responses. As a possible solution. You probably have other solutions as well, but so they want you to have a space for the children after school, but it's not working the way it is now. That's all I'll say on that. Okay. And then the other thing that I think is room for improvement is more communication on the services and programs offered by the library. They're not aware, they said they're not, the respondents said they're not aware of the services and programs. It also comes out in the open-ended responses. When they're asking the library to, for changes, they talk about things they want added or changed. There's a series of open-ended questions on that. And a lot of the things they're asking for, the library already is doing, from what I could tell. So I think awareness needs to be increased on what services and programs are offered by the library. And that is the presentation. I've got to stop. Okay.
You want to hear?
Mindy, do you think that the pandemic had much impact on these survey results? If we did this 6 months earlier, do you expect different results?
No, very few people, what was interesting to me was very few people mentioned anything in the open-ended responses about COVID. I think maybe 2 or 3 responses, that was it. It was very clear to me that they were thinking about the library in general, not thinking about this specific time, but more in general when they were answering the questions.
I have a question. the response, the number of responses, considering that there were, what, 2,300 surveys sent out and 489 responses, and I certainly can see that you did made numerous attempts to get responses back. To me, that was disappointing, that in this entire population, that only 189 people responded back to the survey.
Okay, well, we had a large percentage who started the survey but did not complete it, so they're not included in the analysis. I want to say it was a couple of hundred. I don't remember exactly, but there was a large percentage who started the survey but did not complete it. We also had a lot of what's considered undeliverable addresses. We had individuals that told us via email when they got the online survey that they actually no longer lived in Addison, or never lived in Addison. So we have actually quite a number of bad
Addresses and
addresses, email addresses, etc. So they really should be deleted out. I have numbers on those. I don't have them available right now, but there's large percentages, so that decreases that number considerably.
even with the emails that were sent out from school, right? I mean,
we didn't get many. We didn't get many responses via those emails.
mhm.
I think we got 35, if I'm remembering correctly, that actually completed the survey.
Mhm.
I was surprised by that.
Mhm.
I was very surprised. Like I said, I don't think the environment, the COVID pandemic affected the actual results, but I think it affected our response rate.
Mhm.
Yeah. But you have a difficult population to reach. I would say because of the high minority level in your community, it makes it extremely difficult. And we knew that going in. Yeah, I was happy with the 489, to tell you the truth.
Right.
I was really
To me,
happy.
Yeah, I think you should be happy. I don't know if you can hear me. This is Judith. I think that's a great number for being in the middle of a pandemic. I was surprised. Because I know I got it. No way did I have time to do it. Now I've got numerous things going on in my life, but it was the pandemic for me. I couldn't do it.
Did some people not respond because of the length of the survey?
Yeah, I think
Yes,
that was part of the problem. So we had a lot of people go in. What they do is they go in, they can go click through all the questions and then not complete the
Right.
survey. So I can see the click-through rate too. I know that a large percentage went in and looked at the questionnaire and said, no, I'm not completing this. But other people started it, and then we kept sending them emails saying, please complete the survey, and they never did. I mean, it's hard to tell why they didn't complete it.
There's a pandemic out there.
Yeah. I think that had a lot to do with it. We've never had this much difficulty
Yeah.
getting people to respond. Like I said, it took a month longer than it normally takes us to get that number of completed surveys.
Yeah.
So I think that has a lot to do. The pandemic had a lot to do with it.
Mary, are you surprised with the results?
No.
I'm not either. We know that the children are allowed, that pandemic or no, okay?
2 out of 10.
Yeah, the only thing I was surprised with was people were disappointed with our collection.
Yeah.
Because we read it and we work hard to update it and keep it current, and that was the one thing I was disappointed with.
What?
We find that a lot. It's not unusual It's not just your library. People are never satisfied with the collection. They want more
Oh.
new books, they want more, more copies of bestsellers or new books. They want more copies of this. They want more, always more, more, more. Um, that's not unusual. We're doing about 4 to 5 library surveys a year now. And we've for the last, you know, 3-4 years we've been doing it. So we've done probably 12 libraries in the last 3 or 4 years. And we find the same thing. They're never happy with the collection.
Sure.
They want their specific book, the one that
They want it now, right?
yeah.
Mhm.
That's not unusual.
Website usage, that so few people are visiting our website. That's something we can work on, or at least be aware of, that we can't rely on that right now.
Nobody uses, I think the village would agree too, that very few people access the village's website too. It's just not something people,
Maybe the website itself needs to just change a little,
Yeah, it's
less,
been a few years.
sometimes there's too much information, you kind of want to update it, just a little bit
like the
easier.
layout.
The layout, I mean, I do visit the website to put books on hold, and I think it could be a little
It's been several years.
a little
since we
more
were-
modern and updated personally. I do have a question. It came up a lot about digital tools that they want help learn. Was digital tools, was it a specific thing you asked, or did you just say digital tools in general?
Digital tools in general, but if you look at the open ends, they talk about what they're looking for, what software, what
Okay, thank you.
what they want to learn about computers, about smartphones. I'm trying to think of what else came up in the open ends. Some basics about using the technology, as well as classes on specific softwares. QuickBooks came up a lot. And
iPads.
having that available on the computers, I think. I'm trying to remember Excel, Microsoft. I mean, pretty much
No,
everything. All the new things like using Zoom, how to use Zoom, how to use Microsoft Teams.
You'll need
Those
to
all
comment
came
on
up.
that.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Mindy?
No, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. I enjoyed working with the staff, and they were great, and I enjoyed doing this survey. So thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, this would be very useful in planning.
Good. I'm glad.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I see, it's in the other,
It's at the best.
right, the other one has more in depth, I was looking.
Well, what I think no survey can really capture is, it's a snapshot in time.
Right.
And there
right.
might be people who actively use the library at a certain stage in their life and then falls off. Or some people might not use it at all, then all of a sudden they're the best customers. So,
Yeah.
having a snapshot in time, there's always that inherent flaw.
I can also say the issues about children. We have a reputation in town.
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
talked to people who have never been to the library after school,
But they know about
but
it.
they've heard about it and they think that it's terrible what's happening here,
Mhm.
but they haven't seen it for themselves. So I always invite them to come, but that's something we just have to be aware of. We can do better, but some of the people have formed a conclusion without actually trying it for themselves.
And I think when you're not used to being around older kids, teenage kids, junior high age kids, it might be a little intimidating to all of a sudden have a group of them, but when you're like used to them, it's,
Right.
it's
It's
it
more.
makes a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we have the opportunity to tell people happens here after school, that it's not just chaos and free reign recess, that there are programs happening, there's homework help, there are things
Yeah.
kids can be actively doing that's educational in some way. Not 100%, some of the kids who like coming here like it because
Yeah.
they don't have to sign in and out, and they're not supervised, and they go across the street to Portillo's and come back, and nobody's keeping track of that.
But now that the children have not been here since March,
Right?
is there a different attitude towards the older adults? Or they didn't come back yet?
They come back, but they come in, they get what they need, and they
They
leave.
do
They're
that,
not really staying here for long periods.
Because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I've talked to people in the community and they've told me they would love to come back to the library, but they're just afraid to go anywhere.
Right.
Yes, I think you're right, it's anywhere is
Yeah.
kind of,
It's not the library, it's just like,
Exactly.
they don't leave their houses unless they absolutely have to go to the doctor or something.
yeah,
Or the grocery store, they're not eating out, they're not carrying out, they're just not.
yeah.
I think
I
it's the
think
age
you're right.
group, 60 to,
One thing I'm kind of incongruous with what we're talking about though, on page 18, it's purposes for which households use the Addison Public Library. And one of the things, 34.5% of people said place for your children to play.
yes, I thought, but right above it's place to meet up with people.
Yeah, well, I mean, come to play, maybe we should open up McDonald's Playland or something.
well, we do have, those two tables behind you are Lego and train
Yeah.
tables.
Right.
Yeah.
Normally in the children's area, we do have things to play with, and
Yeah, for the little ones,
Yeah.
something for
There
them to
are
get on the house and do,
families that
yeah.
often would schedule play dates with other families here.
There's a little
Doesn't
puppet
cost
theater.
anything, and,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I offer that kind of tongue in cheek in a way. If kids get in the habit of coming to the library and it's a good experience, then they're lifelong users. At
Absolutely,
least that's what happened to me as a kid.
yeah. You go to the reading programs and the little shows and everything else, and then you're just, it's always positive place to be, yes.
The nice thing about this library, it doesn't have the smell that my, when I was growing up. You walked into the River Library and there was a certain smell of old.
Oh,
Well, we're very modern
Yeah.
and new
Yeah.
here.
And not that I want to cut it short, but we do have other agenda
Oh,
items.
yes, you're right.
So we'll move on to the financial report. By the treasurer.
Wow.
I apologize, you could do that in additional discussion.
No, you're right.
So, we want to start with the financial report?
Yes.
As long as I don't steam up here. The revenue in September was $1,809,567.63. Year-to-date revenue, $5,384,997.30. Our expenditures in September, $539,204.54. Year-to-date expenditures, $2,053,776.83. Distributions, $252,251.87, plus the September payroll of $690,28. Grand total of distributions in September, $552,942.15. They do equal, so there's no difference.
Are there any questions regarding the financial reports that are presented? Crystal? Okay. So next we'll move on to tonight's consent agenda. So I ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda consisting of the meeting minutes and the treasurer's report, which is for this month, and it also includes the annual audit report from Sickage as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Mary Ann.
Okay,
1 second.
Yes, second by Rob. Roll call.
Chris,
Yes.
Sorry, Chris.
Mary,
Yes.
Mary Ann,
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Liz,
sorry.
Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
Judith,
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Next, we'll move on to staff reports. Any discussion or questions regarding any of the reports or the monthly staff reports? And Mary, anything that you would like to add? Anything?
don't have anything to add, I'm happy to.
Okay.
Mary, I have a question about your director's report. When an employee has come in contact, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, when an employee has come in contact with COVID and they are self-quarantined, do we know sometimes if they've come in contact with somebody actually at the library or
Yeah,
Or-
every case, we are working hard to make sure that staff working in the building are not in close proximity to each other. There are a couple of departments, like at the guest services desk, where that's difficult, so we're thankful we haven't had any issues with those staff so far. But the two cases we've had, we've determined are not in close proximity to any other employees or any other patrons. But one of the employees had worked in several parts of the building, and so we were advised by the county health department to issue what they call a low-level notification to our employees, to let them know that someone who had worked in the same space, although not at the same time, had tested positive. But with every case of somebody who has been potentially exposed outside of work or who has tested positive, I call the county health department and they guide me through next steps, and we review, they assign contact tracers if necessary, and we work through that. So,
Thank you.
The perks and possibilities. So somebody just started doing research on,
right, she was writing a book on this topic and she just started Googling to find libraries who were serving young adults with special needs, and somehow found our library and found that picture in particular that she wants to publish in her book. So she called and interviewed me.
And are you getting a lot of applicants for the HR coordinator job?
We are. Some very qualified, some not so qualified, but I think we'll have a good pool to choose from.
Good.
Any other questions?
nobody wants to touch that accounting thing, yeah?
Did that make sense to everybody? The accrual versus the different accounting methods that we use? Cash accounting? If your answer is no, I think I will invite our accountant to a meeting next week, and she can probably explain it better than I.
As long as poor Donna gets some guidance and help.
Donna's not a fan.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Of the accrual method.
Right, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Cash is just so much easier.
I think I'd agree with you on that.
In and out.
Yeah,
That's it.
exactly.
Debit, credit.
But we're only supposed to levy taxes for what we need to operate within this one fiscal year period. So if we collect the money now, it should not be paying for future expenses, according to state law. So
That's why they
the
want to go
reason
there.
we're doing it.
Okay.
And then Mary, when do you find out about the grants that you submitted?
Can I what?
When you find out about the grants that you submitted for
The FEMA reimbursements, I have no idea. The other grants, sometime in November. Is that correct, Vicki? The state grants.
In November, we should hear from state library, and then if we are awarded the grant, so the start date plus to state money and claim reimbursement would be December 1st.
Of those two grant applications to the state library, Yameen wrote one and I wrote the other.
Okay.
The PPE one was mine.
Did anything ever come from that county grant that you had started months ago? Anna Kubitz was involved in it, and
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Or at least not for the library. Any other questions on our reports?
Actually, I have one more comment about the teen report. There were some pretty cool things that were going on in that, and I commend them. That just sounds like they've got the teens between the National Honor Society applications and the vegetable program or the Eating Fresh program. There were some very cool things in that. Thank you.
And how many face masks did we distribute?
I don't actually know. We still have some at the kiosk now, so
Yeah.
we can continue distributing. I'm not sure how many we've given out. But the agency we're getting them from has indicated if we need more, they will deliver more.
Wonderful.
We'll keep doing this.
The letter from the yoga participant was wonderful.
Yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't think we're there yet.
I think Mike Monahan put it in the other
Okay.
report. I put it in the other correspondence.
Okay. I was like, wait, did I misread it? Okay. Are there any other, questions or discussion? I see a nod, no.
Yeah.
So next, we'll move on to Friends of the Library report. So are there any questions regarding the report presented by Friends of the Library?
Nope.
no.
They will be meeting, their next meeting of the Friends will be Wednesday, November 18th at 7 p.m. Next, we'll move on to monthly statistics. Are there any questions or discussion on the monthly statistics?
There was a question last month about, so I had them clarify that for this month. The postcards we're mailing out, we're doing quarterly. We get better rate on the printing of the cards that way. So if your card expired in August, September, or October, you got the postcard in August. And so the number of cards expiring covers that 3-month period rather than a 1-month period. The 910 cards that actually expired represents the number of postcards that were returned to us where we could not verify the address of the people, or actually no, it's speaking. 910 were the total number of cards expired. 841 of those 910 were automatically renewed.
Okay.
The difference between 841 and 910 are the number of people whose addresses could not be verified.
Oh, thank you.
Mary, I have a question for you. Are we doing any online programs at all?
We're doing a lot of online programs. Almost
Okay.
all is online.
Okay.
Online, I think also.
Did I miss that somewhere? Like,
like as far as mentioning it? Is that what
No,
you're
no,
asking?
I mean, like, yeah, where would was that in the newsletter?
Yeah.
It's in here.
Yes, it's in the newsletter. I know that it's also on the website. Are there
I'm
any
sorry,
other-
Judith, where did you see that?
In one of the sections, I can't
Like
remember.
the
which
IT
section.
report?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Are there any other questions on the statistics? No. Okay, so next we'll move on to new business. So the first action item is a tax levy. So I make a motion to approve the tax levy as presented. I'll invite, Mary Ann, if you want to talk about?
Earlier this evening, we had a meeting of the finance committee, and we discussed what the tax levy was and to increase it or remain the same. And the consensus of the board was to not ask for an increase on our tax levy this year.
Thank you, Mary Ann. So I make a motion, to approve, the tax levy as presented.
So made.
Second,
Motion by Rob,
Motion by
seconded
Rob,
by,
second by, sorry, was it you, Judith?
yes, yes.
Okay, roll call vote?
Chris,
Sorry, Chris, we're doing a roll call vote on the tax levy.
can you hear us?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. My vote is yes.
Thank you, Chris.
Mary Ann,
Yes.
Maria,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes,
Robert,
Yes.
Judith.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Next, we'll move on to the second action item on our list, which is the air handling unit proposed port upgrade. So I make a motion to accept the proposal from RAM Integration Solutions to install a 5 RMP halo filters on the library's 3 air handling units at a total cost of $7,057.45.
You made a motion, I seconded.
so that was one option.
Yes.
Yes,
So I made the motion, so Mary Ann seconded it. So, discussion.
I have this in my home. I've had it in my home for 3 years. So when I was reading this, I said to my husband, what is it what we have? And he told me, and I said, oh, he said, definitely, definitely, definitely. It is wonderful. It's incredible. Yeah. And he thought
Yay.
that was reasonable.
We actually did this in an office building also that was having some issues with the quality of air. And it worked really well.
Good.
And Linda, don't you agree that the price is very reasonable?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
When Greg was researching this, he expected it to be much higher.
I did too until
Very pleased with the
Yeah.
proposed price.
Mm-hmm.
And of the two options, the one I have is the recommended option is.
Yeah. Sure, for 3 different units, absolutely. 3. Yeah. So what do we need a vote?
Yeah, so next, Donna, roll call vote?
Chris,
Yes.
Thank you, Chris.
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
Mary Ann,
yes,
Maria,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Robert,
Yes.
Judith.
Yes.
Motion passes. So next we'll move on to our next item on our, under new business, which is just discussion. So the discussion item is reviewing serving our public 4.0, chapters 1, 2, and 3. So I don't know, Mary, if you wanted to add.
For this year's per capita grant application, the state of Illinois, the only money we get from state government is in the form of a grant each year called the per capita grant. And the state legislature sets aside a certain amount in each year's budget for each community's library based on your population. That's why it's called per capita. For each person in Addison, we will get a certain dollar amount. This year's application requirement is that we review Serving Our Public 4.0, the standards for Illinois public libraries, in its entirety. In past years, it's usually been to review 1 or 2 chapters of 3.0, the previous version. There might have been other requirements in addition to that. Usually there are several different requirements. This year, there's only one, but it's to review the entire book. To make that easier, we thought we would break it down and do a few chapters at a time. So tonight, I have chapter 1 through 3 to present to you. The requirement is for both staff and board members to review it. And so our staff has completed their review of the first 3 chapters, and based on our discussion with employees, we've come up with our summary.
Summary is the only way you can get through this.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, really good.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's important to remember that these are not laws. We are not mandated to comply with every guideline in here. They're just recommendations. And they explain in the introduction that it's really difficult to come up with standards that the tiniest rural library in downstate Illinois have to adhere to, as well as the largest urban libraries in our state. So there may be some standards that we decide based on our community that doesn't fit with what we need to do. I think most of them are reasonable benchmarks that we should be striving for. And we did find a few of these chapters that are things we need to work on. Our succession planning documents need updating.
And the reason, and you brought Linda and I up, and Kathy Reed and I had gone to a conference, and one of the things is that trustees should go to these conferences.
Right.
It was in Oak Brook, it was in February, and that's where it started. We came back to report what we learned from there, and Mary said, okay, and Mary Marshall was here. We had people who had been here for a lot of years, but we also had somebody that got very sick, and there was nothing who was going to take over and how, because she knew everything and never really shared it. So that's when we started doing the succession. And they talked about a director that one night didn't come back to work the next day. What would happen?
But it did serve us well. It happened
Yeah.
here that when Mary Marshall retired, Louise came in, who had our children's department. There was a lot of documentation in place. This is how we do programming. These are the contacts for.
And we learned at the front desk that we had to do it, and it was done. And we had,
Now we've had turnover and it's served
Yeah.
us well. But there are some things that need updating, and we'll work on that in the coming year. The personnel levels, they gave you in the appendix, sort of a table that you can do calculations to make it easier to fit both the tiny libraries and the larger libraries. So based on our calculations, I'm comfortable with where we are. We're almost at established. I would have been disappointed if we were at minimum or growing, but I think we're a well-established library and are in line with where we should be. And then there was a question in the personnel section about that both administration and board members should be aware and familiar with federal, state, and local statutes and regulations relevant to personnel administration. Staff did not know if they could put a check mark next to that. I think we can, but if any of you want to review any of that, we can arrange for that.
given the summary, you guys live with this every day. You understand it inside and out. So you see things that we don't see, so the summary is
Right.
very important.
So in regards to the review, does anyone have any questions?
If any of you want to read ahead, the first attachment here has the entire book. So we'll do a few more chapters next month and keep plugging away until we've gotten through everything, but feel free to read ahead if you want. It's all there.
I remember getting a red copy when I came on board.
Mm-hmm.
It was just thick,
Yeah.
the hard copy.
It's blue now. If any of you prefer to have it in paper, we can do a paper copy.
I still have my red copy.
So Mary has a paper copy too, if anybody wants, she could order a paper copy. I know I definitely want a copy.
Okay.
I do better when I read it on paper than I do on screen.
I know, I printed the survey.
Yes.
I also highlighted it.
So then, it seems like, right, you reviewed our chapters 1 through 3, right? We completed our review. So then, if everyone's okay with that, we'll move on to our next discussion item.
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So our next discussion item is library director mid-year performance review. So Mary, did you just want to update us on?
At your pleasure.
Okay.
What would you like from me?
So during this time, we do a mid-year review. We talk about some of Mary's goals, which I think Mary Rice is posted. I don't know why I can't see them.
Yeah.
Yeah, she put them on
You need
there.
them?
I don't know, for some reason mine, here. Maybe there's glitch in my computer. Thank you. So as a tech, she's giving us an updated mid-year update to let us know what are the goals she's currently working on, what it looks like as far as those areas. So I'm not sure if anyone had any questions regarding the information that's provided. So this is just a mid-year update, just letting us know where the progress that she's made on her goals.
Probably the most challenging, in my opinion, is the minimum wage and working on all that, okay?
Absolutely.
That is, besides the requirements that the state of Illinois gave us and where we had to be and how we had to be it, and how you had to budget for it and plan for it and adjust to all of the different steps, that's the star after your name.
Yeah, well, those will be part of the interview questions for the HR coordinator. We want them to know coming in that this is our biggest challenge right now. We're gonna need their help to figure it out. So hopefully we can go somewhere with this very soon, but I honestly have not done a lot with it during the summer.
Well, there was a lot going on.
Yeah.
We were a little busy with other things. So considering everything that was going on with COVID, with, quarantining and everything else, I think you've done a really good job of, do these goals under these trying circumstances. I think you've accomplished a lot considering everything that's been happening. And, I'm fully confident that you'll go with all your goals.
Correct.
It's funny
Yeah.
to think back that we were setting these goals. It was like
It was a
February,
different
and
world.
I
Different world, though.
think it's
Yeah.
changed a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think you've been doing a really great job. So thank you. Thank you for running everything so
I agree.
smoothly and just being able to go with the flow of everything that's going on while thinking of the community and your employees' well-being and everything else. So thank you. I think you've been great.
And as she works, no sooner does she get everything.
Everything changes. You've been
I
doing great.
completely agree with that.
I think we all agree with that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I also appreciate the fact that you put notes in here for us so that people,
Yes.
not just when I do succession planning, but when, like, if one of us are out, it's really good that you put the notes in so that people, if I'm not here, they could run the meeting if one of us is out. So I
Right.
think that helps,
Yeah,
people know what to expect.
agreed, yeah.
Any other points or anything else for discussion on this? So then, if we don't have anything, so then this is for the mid-year review. So then, again, we'll have a review, but it will actually be Mary's actual review on her goals. So this is just letting us know where she is after the year. Okay. Typically, we have it, Mary, to remind me, when do we have your, is it in March?
Yeah, we do it in March so that we incorporate it into the budget.
Okay. So typically, we have our review of her performance in March, just so everyone's aware, where we discuss all the progress that was made throughout the year. Okay. So then, if we don't have any other discussion on this, then we'll move on. Sorry, did you say something? I apologize. Okay, so then we'll move on to the next item on the list, which is closed session. So currently, there is no need for us to go into closed session. So we'll move on to correspondence and announcements. So any discussion or questions regarding any of the information in correspondence, library, and the news?
Congratulations on the wonderful letter from Raja Krishnamurti.
Okay.
Did you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. That was wonderful.
I agree.
Yes.
This is the first time we've gotten a letter, Mary, from him?
I can't remember. Anytime that our state association asks us to contact our legislators to support some initiative, I typically do. And most often, their office will send a response back. So, and I can't remember if we had one from this office before.
Okay. And then I didn't realize that people could become unionized in the library.
Yeah, there are several libraries in our area. Aurora Public Library, the Union, Elk Grove. Those are a couple I can think of. Not common, but
Nice.
Under the Illinois Public Labor Relations Act.
Are there any other?
Motion to adjourn.
I don't even have to hurry.
I don't even want to touch the union thing, so.
No, I just brought it up I didn't realize,
Point of
not a, yeah, point of interest.
it's not
you know.
happening here.
Yeah, not, point of interest, not.
That's why I'm moving on.
Not anything. So next we'll move on to additional discussion. So Mary did email me about, closing for that election day.
Right.
So I had contacted Mary, we would have to have a special meeting if we wanted to re-meet, but we had already voted on this, correct, Mary?
Yeah, you voted to close. The Illinois Municipal League filed suit, and a court in Sangamon County found, that.
Maria, are you speaking? Because I can't hear you.
Sorry, it's Mary. Mary's
Okay.
talking. I had brought up that she had emailed me earlier in regards to being closed on election day. We had voted on it before, so she's bringing it up because regarding an update, so whether or not we wanted to have a special meeting regarding this, but we already voted on this. So Mary was going to talk to us about if we were interested in
I
having.
didn't find out about the court ruling until Monday, which was within 48 hours of our meeting, so it was too late to add it to tonight's agenda. But it can be, the courts have ruled, a local decision. So if you would like us to be open, we'll have to have a special meeting between now and election day so that you can approve that motion, rescinding your prior decision to close the library on election day.
So when we close the library, if we voted, do people get paid?
Yes.
Okay, just
Both
make
will
sure
get
they
paid.
got, yeah, as long as it's.
Staff were scheduled to work that day.
Right.
On Tuesdays, they won't be paid.
So the reason I bring it up is we already voted on it, but if we wanted to have a special meeting, I just wanted to make sure that if people wanted to have a special meeting, I told Mary we already voted on it, and I felt like between now and the election, to squeeze in a special meeting to vote on it, unless people feel different and want to meet to re-vote on this, but we already voted on this to have it closed, and we would be paying our staff that work that day while the library is closed.
I think I feel like as long as people who are supposed to work are getting paid, then I'm fine with it staying closed.
I think we stand by our prior decision.
Correct. I feel the same. I wasn't sure though if anybody else felt indifferent. I did tell Mary that we had already voted on it. I didn't want us to have to squeeze a special meeting unless we do have members that feel different and want us to vote. So does anyone else on the call, sorry, Judith or Linda or Chris, feel indifferent, or is everyone okay with our previous decision? I'm okay with our previous decision that we voted on it already and people are getting paid for that day. So I felt no need to have a special meeting to have us re-meet to vote on this. So it seems like everyone's okay with it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, fantastic. I just wanted to make sure.
I have one other item. I wanted
Okay.
to ask the board. When we closed the library completely and sent staff home in March, we used the policy that is in place for, it was written for things like a single day, a snow day, or a very temporary power outage that says we will pay employees if the library has to close. I hope it doesn't come to that, but if during the course of this pandemic or some future event happens that we have to be closed for an extended period of time again, I want to know if the board would like to revisit that policy and perhaps have different guidelines for something that goes on for a longer period of time, or if we want to just continue saying all employees are paid. We've been reviewing with each department and individual employees what work can be done from home. A lot of us were able to work remotely. But if your job is to shelf books, that's not something you can do from your house. So.
And they are minimum wage people. I mean, they're really low.
Correct.
And it's not like we haven't budgeted. It's not like we don't have the funds. The fair thing to do, it's out of their control.
Yes,
Correct.
agreed. Yeah.
So I don't know if you're adding, is it just to add more, I guess, clarity, or is it more to add like, if we have pandemic or whatever?
No,
People will
just to make sure
We're okay
the
with
policy that's in place now was, I think, written and approved before most of you were on the board. So I want to make sure this board is comfortable and aware of what the policy is, so that if this happens, we're ready and don't have to make a snap decision in that moment.
I mean, I'm for paying employees because that, you know, this pandemic hit and so many people were not able to be paid, and I don't think we should be contributing to one more worry. So I personally feel that we should continue paying if the library is closed due to some horrific event and not have people have to have one more stressor in their life.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
And I don't like creating two classes of employees.
yes,
Some people are being paid, albeit they're working from home or doing something else. And other people who would work, but they can't do their job from home.
right.
And then there's another concern too, that if we were to have to recruit people and go through all of those steps to bring a person in and train them, and the I-9 forms and all of the background checks and all the things you do when you hire somebody, there's a diminished savings there. So all that being said, I would say let's make sure everything's paid.
Yes.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let me just ask a question with this. So some people would be working from home though, right?
Yes,
Yes.
everybody.
So in some people's jobs can't be done at home. So my question is there a disparity then among employees on who is then working and getting paid and who is not working and getting paid?
Are you asking for like, is there a disparity in how much or a disparity?
No, I mean, I guess I'm asking if that would be conceived as being fair by employees. So,
Like, got it.
and I guess I'm asking if you were an employee and you were working from home and getting paid, but another employee was not working at all and getting paid, it'd be an issue. And I guess I'm just throwing it out there.
Understand. I think some of the employees though that we had that weren't able to do stuff, were doing professional development, right?
Right. I can't speak for every employee, and I don't know if some of them would even share their opinions with me if they felt that way, but for the most part, the feedback I got, employees were very grateful. The ones who
Okay.
worked and the ones who weren't able to. So I don't think there was any resentment that you're expecting me to work while somebody else isn't. They were glad for the opportunity. And I think most staff are dedicated enough to the work that they do that they were glad to find ways to keep serving the community.
Mhm.
The virtual programming and.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Stephen, any other discussion? No? Okay. So, seeing as there's no other discussion, then I make a motion to adjourn at 7:57 PM.
Second.
Second by Mary.
Okay.
So, meeting adjourned, 7:57. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Here. Wait for the screen.